In today's video, I'm actually releasing part 2 of the code for the micro SaaS and the coloring book. I'm going to actually assume a few things, but I wanted to do a quick demo of actually the micro SaaS and how it's running. If you want some behind the scene, please don't forget to join my newsletter at joinmindjourney.com. Like and subscribe to the channel. I'm actually releasing a weekly video about AI and automation. We are now actually on the landing page, very basic landing page over there with a quick FAQ. Just a quick menu at the top and a get started button, which is actually be just return to signing option. Clicking on this, I can sign up with my Google account. I can then actually be returned to the dashboard. Here is what the user would actually see. In this case, I have actually the total credit available, which is actually linked with my table over there. So you see I have actually 8 credit available on Supabase. I have actually 8 on the front end. If I wanted to increase this to 18, for example, return it over there. And now I have actually an 18 credit over there. Here's my total image being generated as we speak, the use credit as well. And I can see a view history where I can actually see all the image that has been generated. I can download them back if I wanted to. Bear in mind that replicate URL might actually be not safe forever. It might actually expire at one point, but I'm pretty sure you have a solid base to improve the SaaS if you want it. You can actually also buy credit. I haven't actually hooked the Stripe, but you could actually buy the credit this way. Again, the Stripe setup would actually be something you would actually discuss with Windsurf, for instance. And so in this case, I'm going to do a magical unicorn in the forest. I'm very magical as we speak today. So I'm clicking on generate and I'm now going to have to wait maybe 15 to 20 seconds. And I'm going to have actually the image being returned to me using actually under layer. I'm using replicate at the bottom. While it's actually been generating, I'd like to show you as well the GitHub. I have actually made a very extensive GitHub README. So image has been generated meanwhile. I can download it from there. I have now the image being generated. I wanted to show you the GitHub as well. I've actually put a lot of information over there. What's the feature? What am I using over there? I'm actually using authentication using Google OAuth. We have actually a Stripe. The Stripe is already coded, so that should actually be easy for Windsurf to come up with the solution. I have actually a user dashboard, which I just demonstrate, minimalistic UI, and actually this is built with actually Next.js and app router. I'm using actually the below tech stack, Next.js, React, Tailwind CSS, Supabase for the backend, authentication using Supabase still with the Google OAuth, and the styling is done with actually Tailwind CSS and Daisy UI. You're gonna have to get those pre-requirements on your machine: an NPN, a Node.js, Supabase account, Google Cloud. I'm gonna show you how to get to the Supabase and where to put those env file and what key to put where. You're gonna also need to get a replicate account with your API key, which I'm gonna show following next on the video. And here's how you can get started. Clone, so you would actually do a git clone, and this, the install dependency, you're gonna do actually an npm installed on your machine, and then you're gonna have to rename the env.example. In this case, we have an env.example. Rename this into .env, and this will actually allow you to modify and actually add the key over there. So you're gonna have to add your Supabase key. You're gonna have to add your replicate key over there. Once you have done this, the Supabase creation, I will show you how to get the connection moving. What I want you to do as well is that otherwise it's going to be a super long video. I want the video to be under 15 minutes, hopefully. I want you to go ahead and install the npm installed -g for global Supabase. And then you're going to have to do those commands. Supabase login, which will actually potentially prompt you to the login page or ask you for some API key on your Supabase instance. You're going to see on the CLI, it's going to be fairly easy. You're going to have to link then your project. So -- project reference and your project name. That's actually how you can link from there. And then you're going to have to do Supabase DB push, which basically allow you to actually have and push all the migration file required. So all of this is the initiation required for the system to work with Supabase. Okay. In order to actually enable Google Auth, I'm going to go through the video as well on the Supabase side, how to enable the providers and enable actually Google providers as well. You're going to have to create a credential for Google Cloud Console in Google Cloud Console. And you're going to actually you're going to have to actually add your callback URL, which is actually the URL over there. You're going to actually rename this. So potentially you're going to have a localhost, and then to actually start your server, npm run dev over there. I also added a database schema. So here is what we're using on Supabase. So we have actually user credit generation coloring book. And so basically I can see from there, so here's my user. I can see as well the generation that has been done every time. I can see the image of the URL. You could potentially as well on the SaaS, for instance, you could actually increase the credit used if you wanted to. It's also up to you. Here is the quick project structure as well. If you wanted to actually modify the replicate model, it's under API, and you have actually all the API route over there. We're using the dashboard for the dashboard page, and the rest is actually pretty simple. The authentication flow is this way. User click on signing with Google. So basically you would actually go here, you would actually log out from there. You could actually get started, and then you can actually sign up with Google in this case. The callback exchange code for session, so that's actually handled by the middleware under the hood. User redirect to the dashboard. So as soon as I'm actually being redirected over there, as soon as I'm being logged in, I'm actually being redirected to the dashboard, and I've been welcomed with my amount of credit available. And that's actually pretty much it for the build. I hope you like the rest of the video. I would like to take a moment to thank everybody. This was actually my best performing video so far. I'm a very small content creator as we speak. I'm actually very pleased with actually the performance of the last video. I'm hoping that this one will actually be as good as the previous one. Please put a like, subscribe, and comment. This actually helps the algorithm and help the channel to grow. All right, here is my Supabase dashboard. This is where you're gonna create your new project. So in this case, I'm gonna just call it coloring book. To enter password and use your region. In my case, I'm gonna create a new project. I'm not gonna save the database. We're waiting for a minute, and the project is now being actually set up. This is where you need to collect the anon public and the service role key and the URL over there. So we're gonna start with the URL, copy this into your clipboard, open up your windsurf, and on the env.example, which you would actually rename .env URL over there. All right, and if the page changed for some reason, you would actually simply go to product settings over there, and you can then actually copy the rest, which is in this case the anon key. So you'd actually copy this key over there, go back to your windsurf as well, so the env file, paste it over there. This is actually the role key, and then the role key over there. So this is actually the service role key. You actually reveal, then copy this key over there, and you would actually just paste it over there. All right, what we want to do now, once you have actually your env setup for Supabase, we want to continue with the Supabase. We're gonna go to authentication over there and then provider. What I suggest you do, you're gonna have to actually read the documentation at one point, but basically you see I have actually Google authentication being disabled. I'm gonna actually enable this over there, and I'm gonna have to actually enter the client ID and the client secrets. Supabase has a very nice documentation, which I'm gonna show in the screen in a minute. All right, and with the magic of editing, here's the page. So this is actually a very nice explanation over there. You're gonna have to create actually a GCP, a cloud, so a Google Cloud project will actually be required for this. And basically you're gonna have to enter your client ID and the client secret. So once you have this running, you might actually just stop your npm run dev and actually start it again. Go back to the landing page, which is localhost 3000 in this case. And if everything goes well, by clicking on get started, you should actually go to this page. You can actually go sign up with Google, choose your account. And now you're gonna be redirected to the actually dashboard over there, saying that you are now connected. You should actually already have like 10 credit by default, allowed as well. And if you look into your Supabase, you go to authentication, you should actually see user and UID basically, where you have actually user being authenticated properly. This is how you can confirm that the Supabase instance has been set up properly. Your authentication should work we're going to move into, I'm going to explain. So following next, I'm going to explain the DB push. All right. And if you go to the GitHub README, you're going to see getting started. I'm explaining about the DB push and how to do what you need to do in order to actually be able to push the migration file over there, which will basically initialize your database. So if you go to Supabase again, I can go to table editor, for instance. I can see my user. Remember, I had actually 3 credits over there. If I wanted to increase this for testing purpose, and I wanted to go to 10, now I have actually 10 credits available. All right, once you have your Supabase done and ready, where you can actually log in user, you need to actually be able to invoke the generation of the image. So in this case, let's say magical unicorn, but basically I'm using a replicate API call in order to have actually in a specific model in order to actually have the image being returned to me. So this actually usually take like around 20 seconds and being displayed on the browser. So as you can see over here, you have actually the image has been actually generated. I can download it from there. I can also view my history. I can see the pictures being generated and the prompt that was used. I can download the pictures as well from there, which is also working. So I'm going to show you now how to go and where to go for your replicate. All right, we are now on replicate.com, where you can actually see your dashboard. In order to have your API key, you go to name, top left, API token, and then you can create a token over there. So you give a name, you're gonna copy this key over there, and now you're gonna go to the env file still. You're gonna actually go and paste this into replicate API token. You're gonna have to actually be restarted, and you should now be able to get an image being generated in front of you by just typing the prompt. In case you wanted to change the model, so in this case, I'm using actually a specific model for the coloring book, which is actually a retro type of a coloring book. You can literally just go under the app, API, generate coloring book, and then you have actually the root.ts. And this is where you can actually find as well some of the prompts. So I'm passing the prompt from the user, coloring book vintage minimal line, easy to color. That's actually the instruction that I'm giving to get actually the output I'm getting. And I'm actually telling as well a negative prompt, which is actually complex, realistic colors and gradient. I don't want this for the coloring book. That's defeat the purpose of a coloring book, obviously. But you can literally just play with this. You can actually ask Windsurf to say, hey, I want to change the model. Here's the model. You can actually literally find other models, for example, on Replicate. Like you can go and search for, again, I'm taking a coloring book type. This is the one I'm using, retro coloring book. Bear in mind as well on Replicate, this works this way. This model is cold. That means that nobody has used the model for a certain period of time. The boot time is longer. So that means that the image being generated will actually be potentially longer. If I go back to coloring book, this one is warm. So potentially that means that I've actually, with my generation, this model is still actually accessible as we speak. I can literally go here, generate the image, and that's supposed to be faster. The model is not being called. And so the image generation is supposed to be faster because the server that's running the model is still actually up and running. So something to keep in mind, if you have actually a cold model, image generation might actually take longer. I see you next week for the next video. Until then, please take care and happy making.